What I love about content marketing world is just the networking, the knowledge, and the speakers are always fantastic.
You're learning so much. It's action-packed, jam-packed.
I mean, the speakers you guys have here are ridiculous. Like, out of all the shows I've been to, I mean, I've never seen so many high caliber speakers that you could really glean from and learn from.
This is the ultimate conference for content marketers.
I always come here knowing I'm going to get information I can take back that I need right now.
I love the freshness of the content.
Everybody's innovating here. For me, it's just so valuable.
It's just a great opportunity to kind of understand what's coming and getting ahead of all of those trends and kind of being on the leading edge.
This is the place to hear from people that have been there and done that and come back with the case study.
There's a lot of practical knowledge that you can take back with you to the office and implement tomorrow if you wanted to.
There are brilliant speakers and fantastic takeaways. Everybody leaves this event with pages of notes and things they can go apply right away.
There's somebody that I met who's not even remotely from the same industry and found it as helpful as I did.
So if you're looking to make sure that you're getting the most relevant information on, content itself and how it's going to grow and impact your business, you need to be here.
I think you're going to be inspired to do something different.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Monday. It's Amanda with the Content Marketing Institute. As always, thank you for joining me for this Ask the CM World Community Livestream, where each time we dive into a new topic with an awesome member of our CM World community. And today we are going to talk about creating content that the C-suite can trust. If you need to target those hard to reach senior level decision makers with your content marketing, we hopefully have some tips for you. As always, this live stream is brought to you by the Content Marketing Institute. We are the leading training and education organization for, you guessed it, all things content marketing. You can head on over to contentmarketinginstitute.com for all kinds of resources and educational content, research, etc. So this is it, folks. The countdown is on. Our signature conference, Content Marketing World, is just two weeks away, September 26th to the 28th in Washington, D.C. We are also actually holding our MADS conference, Marketing Analytics and Data Science Conference, at the same time. So if you haven't registered yet, why not? What's holding you back? We want to see you there. So you don't want to miss out on all the great content, networking, fun, and our keynote, Elizabeth Banks. So you do not want to miss out on any of that. So you can go ahead and register there, the websites. There's a couple codes down there running at the bottom for you to save a little bit on your registration. So I hope to see you there. And if you do show up, please let me know so we can connect. I'd love to connect with any of you who are going to be there. All right. As always, as you're joining me today, give me a virtual wave, say hello, let me know where you're joining us from. If you have any questions or comments as we go along, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below. As always, it makes for a more engaging live stream when we hear from all of you. So let's get the ball rolling as usual with our question of the day. So what challenges do you face with reaching or maybe engaging with senior level decision makers? Or if those aren't necessarily your target audience, what could marketers do better to build trust with audiences? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What are your challenges, etc. So go ahead and answer the question of the day there. All right, today's topic is based on a session at Content Marketing World in the Content Innovation track. How can marketers create content that builds trust with the C-suite and other senior level decision makers? We know it can be hard to get the attention of these folks. So we're hopefully going to get some tips on how to do that today. And joining me today, here we go. Before I bring on our awesome guests, I want to say hello to everyone who's joining us. Megan from San Francisco, Arden from the Philippines, Maria. Yes, Maria, we are live. We will have it on demand afterwards. Allison from England, someone from New York, Pakistan, DC. All right, thank you all for joining us. So also joining me today is Emma Moorman, a marketing services product director from Informa Tech, which is a sister company of us here at the Content Marketing Institute for the last 10 years. Emma has been leading provider of market insight and market access to the global business tech community. Hello, Emma. You are on the other side of the pond, right? Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah. No, not at all. As we were kind of laughing about before, I joined about an hour earlier. Just couldn't quite work out the kind of GMT time difference. So I'm glad I'm here and not now late.
We have Anne joining us from Sweden. And as I said, someone was on here from Cheshire, England. So we do have quite a few folks from all over. So thank you all for joining us. And take a look at the question of the day and drop your comments in the comment section. We'd love to hear how you guys are doing with reaching the C-suite. All right, Emma, we know that building trust with buyers through our content is so important. But what makes it maybe even more important when trying to connect with the C-suite or those decision makers in the senior level?
Yeah, 100%. Like trust is within content marketing, trust is there for all. But I think with the C-suite, it is particularly important. And I think there's a kind of few things to kind of think about for those C-suite. The first is that, they're top of their game. They've worked within a specific area, whether a CFO, a CMO, a CTO. They're subject matter experts. So they really, know what they're talking about. They know their area really, really well. And they, think about an exec, and think about, the team of people they build around them. They build people that they can trust, people that they can kind of bounce ideas with, or, hear what they think, helping to make decisions. And so when we think about trust for the C-suite and the pressures that they're under, this is where the buck stops with, targets, with budgets, etc., and the pressures and accountability they have. It becomes even more critical that you as an organization within your content strategy are something or somebody that they can rely on and that they can trust that you're a reliable source. So think about modeling your content strategy into that team of experts that they bring around them, and think about being that reliable source. How can you get and be like a seat at their table and giving them, front of mind that they come to, and sometimes as well, not necessarily, it's about being something that you can give them that they can't necessarily get from their team. So it's a fresh perspective as well. C-suites. People, members are more likely to make decisions based on trust and relationships than any other role within an organization. Think about the role of a C-suite or very senior kind of decision maker, executive level. It's about building relationships. You're setting strategic direction. You're asking the company to come with you. Very often at that level, it becomes quite a political place. So it really is about building those trust and relationships. So it's really like critical that whatever you bring to the table is bringing that relationship. It's building relationships. It's building the trust within there as well. And I think the other thing was we ran an Informa Engage survey last year, which was for audiences for executives, and it was looking at where they got involved in the decision-making process, and where executives get spend their time is establishing the need for a purchase, and then at the end when it's time to sign off on the deal as well, which means that everything that you want to think about, doing is about building the kind of the need, the demands, and the proof to help them. Where's that new opportunity? What's something that's going to solve a pain point for me? And so that becomes really critical, building the trust there when they're thinking about, yeah, that's a great idea, or yeah, this could be an opportunity to kind of to look through.
Yeah, because I like that, what you said about someone who provides them with a new and fresh perspective, right? Because they may keep hearing the same stuff from their team, but maybe you can be the source that provides them something just a little bit different that they hadn't thought about.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to that point, you know, as I said, these guys are subject matter experts within their own right. They are already, you know, the authority. You know, using C-suite for influencers is a great kind of opportunity as well. So you're really trying to come in and say, okay, what can I tell you that's new and fresh? What can I help you take in to really deliver on your values and opportunities as well?
Megan says here, as of course, the closer you can get to the customer, the better. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, say your name correctly, Kanat, he says, excellent quality of product and polite behavior are both important for trust building and audience and marketers. Absolutely. All right, so we know the C-suite, senior level, they're busy, right? They're in demand. They got a lot going on. So getting their attention is hard. So how can we use our content to get that attention? And what does our content have to do or accomplish?
Yeah, 100%. I think, again, it's that whole thing. We're all busy, you know, we all have demand, but for C-suite, you know, they are particularly pressed for time. They have, you know, a lot of demand within their organization, people wanting time from them, then outside. And then if you think, you know, they've built these teams around them. So they're protected by gatekeepers, people that they trust already to kind of make certain decisions or to bring them certain insights or to decide what kind of comes through. So it's actually not that hard to reach C-suite, but it is hard to grab their attention. And I think there's a few things that are really critical. The first is around, you know, focusing on being credible, you know, build your thought leadership with a, you know, really strong content strategy. You know, think about what's your kind of ownable conversation going to be? What's your perspective going to be? What's that niche that they can rely on you for? Or what's that new and fresh perspective? And really focus on, you know, building that depth of kind of relationship and trust. To the other point about being, you know, new and fresh ideas, when we ran our CMO survey in Q3 last year, where we interviewed CMOs across all of the kind of tech industry, we saw that trust was the #1 decision point for selecting new vendors. CMOs for enterprise businesses consistently expressed that vendors needed to bring broader insights and, you know, new ideas and solutions to solve existing business problems. So exactly said, like that new perspective that, oh, I hadn't thought of it doing that way, or here's an idea I can take to my team and we can look at, or this can solve this for me, becomes really critical, especially when you're thinking like, you know, top of funnel and really grabbing attention and before you've even started talking about solutions. I think the other thing is that subject matter expertise is absolutely critical. It's really highly valued. Again, when we ran our survey, you know, analysts, industry expertise, industry kind of events, publications, that's where the highest source of content for researching solutions comes from. So, you know, make sure you're thinking about, well, how do I give my, you know, that authority to my content? Who can I partner with? How do I create that real kind of thought leadership and reliability into what I do? And the other piece as well is that, you know, they like to learn from their peers. So it's you know, they want to learn and see what other people are doing and grab those ideas. So thinking about like, you know, that C-suite community or showing case studies or ideas and leaning on existing events is a great way to really kind of help that kind of content come through. But you know, ultimately it's about that credibility, those new ideas, is telling them something they didn't already know, and getting them thinking about things in a different way.
Another person says here, Ashad, strong communication and interpersonal skills are needed to connect with the C-suite audience. So we were talking about building the trust with the content we deliver, and you talked about some examples there about what works best, what maybe doesn't work very well that you've found in your experience.
Well, I think I'm sorry, I didn't see the person's name before, but yeah, any time where you're in the delivery of the content, you're not being kind of highly personalized. If you are, you know, not being polite, if you've made mistakes in grammar and spelling and just basic things like that, they drop trust pretty quickly because it doesn't feel credible. But the things that really kind of kill trust, I think, in the content is if you're just focusing on like features over benefits, if you're not telling them really how this is going to impact me, if you're not demonstrating ROI and really, again, answering those pain points, you're going to struggle. I think if you've set unrealistic promises, if you unsupported statements, again, it's just that sense of fluffiness. You want it to be impactful, something they can rely on. Like if expecting a C-suite person to take a piece of information into a boardroom or within their teams, they've got to know that stuff is good, because it reflects poorly on them, if they don't. So I think those are some of the the don't do's, and I think there's some of the things that people are saying in terms of that delivery of the content and personal relationships and knowing your own stuff as a salesperson, obviously further down the funnel becomes really critical as well.
Yeah, because their time, they don't have a lot of time. So whatever you're delivering, like you said, has to be very impactful. When you do have their attention, right? You have a time to like wade through all of the junk, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, we talk a lot about just grabbing their attention for a moment, but there is a kind of a sense of longevity with it, where you're not just a moment in time. This is about like, really top of funnel stuff as well, is how do you start building yourself, connecting yourself in to that seat at their table where you are a trusted source that they're going to drop into when they need to, think about this particular thing. And that's where you want to be. So when they're at that point, that they're thinking about you.
All right. So we also know that the C-suite doesn't operate or make decisions in a vacuum, right? So how do we sort of take the other stakeholders into the equation when we're crafting the content for the C-suite?
Yeah, this is a really important question, because it can be easy to kind of like, I'm going for the C-suite. The big deal is going to be on the table there. It's going to be a larger deal size. It's likely to be a longer relationship. I can get some multi-deal, year deal in there, but it's not in a vacuum. So, you can't think about it in isolation. So you have to think about that wider buyer group and that the map of connections and trust that you want to build. So there's a couple of things in there. The first is, again, when we ran our survey with Informa Engage last year, we saw that, it can be up to 5 people who are involved in a purchasing decision. This is for the B2B tech, like in a sizable purchasing decision. Now, I've seen stats where it's 10, 12 people are involved in there. But that tells you that it's not a single kind of moment in time. The C-suite are not going to be the only person, people that are involved in that. And so what we saw in that survey, as I said at the beginning with the execs, is that they're very often will be more involved at the very beginning when they're identifying a problem they want to solve, and at the very end when they're then signing off. So that in-between stage becomes directors and managers who do the shortlisting, the vendors, going through the kind of demos, all of that kind of the crunching stuff. So if you have only thought about the C-suite in isolation and not thought about the wider ecosystem within the company and the people who will have a say in there, then you have a real risk of actually a big disconnect between building C-suite connection and trust to then actually getting on that vendor shortlist as well. So you really want to think about all of the connections, the stakeholders are in there, and how you're going to run your content to really reach and engage each of those. And remembering that, the C-suite there, that trust is really, really important. So they've built people around them who, as I said, they're working with, they're listening to, hearing confirmation from others that they also have heard about you, and that they kind of, they think this is a great idea. That trust will go a long way, knowing that they're hearing it from the people that they trust as well. So it's really critical. And I think with that as well is the buying journey is not linear. You don't like download a white paper or see a case study and then, hey, you're going to purchase. We know that it takes time. These things are happening everywhere. And so when we're thinking about our content strategies, we kind of call it the customer journey multiverse and Informa Tech, and with our content marketing agency expertise Studio ID, it's about really thinking about that whole ecosystem and thinking about all the touch points and identifying all the possible points they're going to be at, and thinking about those decision makers and how best you're going to serve them. And I think at that point then, when you're really thinking about that, it gets really important to understand the personas, to really know how you're going to best serve those audiences, the right type of content that's going to engage with them, and making that accessible in lots of different ways.
Great stuff. And I have a good question here from Kristen. She says, should content be in the C-suite language, not marketing lingo, and more emotional than transactional?
I love that question, actually. So I would say from what we've seen in some of our research is that around language is just being as kind of straightforward, transparent, and clear as possible. So yeah, take the kind of jargon, the lingo, just make it like, what does this mean for me? How are you going to solve this for me? What's this new idea, perspective that actually I need to pick up on? And as to the emotion, that's a really good question, actually. And I'm not sure where I land on that. Now, you don't want to be fluffy. You don't want to kind of not mean anything, but I'm a big advocate for making connection with people. And that means sometimes being honest. That means kind of, having that kind of emotional empathy and why this is important. I think that's okay. But that probably is going to be more to do with your brand and how you actually want to represent yourselves, how you want to talk about yourselves and connect and kind of, joining those two up. But yeah, I love that. That's a really good question.
That's all great points there. Well, Emma, you are going to have a lot more in your session coming up at Content Marketing World here in just 2 weeks. So what else can people expect from your session?
So we are super excited to be in Washington. The session I'm going to be speaking at, we have done a 2023 hot off the press Informa Tech Trust in Marketing Index. So we have surveyed the C-suite and the execs, the really kind of senior decision level makers. And what we're really kind of looking is what's the state of the relationship between marketers and the B2B kind of technology buying decision makers. And what we're kind of looking to share with you, the learnings is, what are those current barriers to build trust? What exactly is building trust right now? And what does 2024 look like in terms of building trust with content marketing? And it's really like, how do we foster it through accuracy, clarity, personalization, and timeliness? And I'm really excited to chat that through and share.
We are excited to have you. So if you want to hear more from Emma and all the other awesome, great speakers we have at Content Marketing World, we want you all there. So head over to contentmarketingworld.com to register. There's a QR code there up in the top corner of your screen. You can also click on there as well. Emma, in the meantime, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, please do. I'm on LinkedIn. Please do connect, or if you've got like a follow-up question, give me a ping. Also, if you're going to be at Content Marketing World, please do come over to the stand, have a chat. I'm more than happy to grab a coffee, a cocktail if it's the right time of day, whatever you like.
All right, great. Thank you to all of you for joining us today. Thank you, Emma, for your time. I will see you in 2 weeks and hopefully see some of you there as well. Have a good day.